The last thing I want to talk about is KPIs that will help you measure the success of your rebranding efforts. If you keep track of those, they will give you some measurable data that indicate whether your rebranding has achieved the intended goals and objectives. So the main ones you want to keep track of, and hopefully you're doing this already, are your website traffic. If you notice there are more people on your website, and not just more people coming to your website, but also staying longer and a lower bounce rate. So those are two metrics you want to track. How long are they staying on your site? Because if you have the right messaging, whether it's visual or verbal, people will stay longer because they're engaging, they're involved, they want to read more, learn more, right? They stay longer and the bounce rate is lower as well. They go actually to the next page. They're following the flow of your website. So those are things you want to track. Then social media engagement, likes, shares, comments, mentions on social media platforms. They show that your audience is engaged and interested in what you're sharing. So if you're doing this right, you will see an increase there as well. Testimonials. Testimonials will increase, not just the number, but also the content will change. Ideally, you want your audience to adopt your language and describe how you help them the way you would. So they stop talking about one thing and they start talking about it in a different language. This may take some time, but you will notice a shift. And that's why I want you to be conscious about how you communicate, because if you repeat the same things over and over, your clients and patients will take that messaging and they will make it their own. And this is what they're going to use to talk about you. This is why this consistency is so important. Obviously, you want to keep track of your sales metrics, changes in sales revenue, customer and client acquisition rate, new patient rates, things like that, purchase pattern. If anything changes and just increases, that's something that you can attribute to your new brand. Referrals, obviously. The quality of the referrals will be better because people will know who you're trying to attract. And again, they will have the right messages to convey when they refer to you. And then obviously, if you're asking for feedback, you got to analyze that feedback. You got to evaluate it, not just from your clients, but also from your team members to understand their opinions and to see what they're suggesting and how you can make it better, to hear their concerns. And another way to measure your success will also be, you will notice that it'll be easier to hire the right people. Because if you brand yourself right, you will attract the people who naturally align with your brand. So I mentioned this before. This is something I want to go into a little bit more. I think it's going to be its own masterclass about employee and employer branding. But of course, if you want to measure anything, you need to set some benchmarks and goals going forward. So benchmarks establish a baseline for comparison. So if you haven't done that yet, do it now. Wherever stage you're at in your rebranding, whether you're still in the process of creating your strategy or if you're already rebranded, if you're already launched, just get those metrics right now so you can see how it changes over time. Tracking the progress in the long run will also help you identify trends and areas of improvement and the effectiveness of the adjustments you make over time. So I encourage you to start tracking those things right now so you can actually see how you're growing if you haven't done that yet.